Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Clone Commander Gree Toys R Us exclusive action figure. I picked this up from toysrus.com and was pretty excited about it because, hey, it's a clone trooper, which I love, and it's Clone Commander Gree. It's actually a commander in the clone forces, so really cool to have another one of these guys in the collection. Packaging, as you can see, is the same thing we've seen for the last couple years. It's getting a little bit stale, it's getting a little bit boring, but we still have it, so what can you do? You can see the figure within, you can see all the accessories that he comes with. From the side, there's a very slight peek into the packaging, not a huge peek, but you can see a little bit through the side. Opposite side simply says Clone Commander Gree. There is no numerical designation on exclusive figures in the 6-inch Black Series line. And at the back, you get the same portrait of the character you see on the front, as well as some information. Clone Commander Gree, designation 1004, led the elite corps of clone troopers during the Clone Wars. He saw deployments on such heated battlefronts as Kashyyyk. Though a faithful commander who carried out the Jedi's orders, Gree was ultimately loyal to the Republic. Didn't end up too well for Commander Gree in Revenge of the Sith. Top of the packaging, it's just blacked out now. You can't see inside there anymore, as has been the case for the last wave or so. And down at the bottom, all the usual information you get down there. But the figure's looking really good before I even have it out of the packaging. So I'm going to go ahead and take a couple minutes, get him unboxed, and then we'll take a closer look at Commander Gree. And I gotta say, he's looking pretty spectacular. Now, the figure does retail for $24.99, and the reasoning that Hasbro has given for that higher MSRP is that they're having to spend more money on the very detailed paint apps. Apparently, this is the most expensive paint application they have done on a 6-inch Black Series figure. It's kind of a high markup just for paint, but the figure does look pretty great, except on the helmet where there's not a whole lot of detail, but we'll look at that in just a bit. So the figure is based off the previously released Phase 3 Clone Trooper, which utilizes pretty much the same body from the Phase 2 Clone Trooper that was released pretty early on in the 6-inch Black Series line. This time, however, there's a brand new torso that is being utilized due to Commander Gree's uniqueness, so I'm glad they didn't take any shortcuts there. And Gree is pretty highly articulated, as are most Black Series figures, and he does come with some nice accessories. Let's go ahead and take a close-up look at the helmet. So again, the coloration here is very nicely done. This is probably the best looking Commander Gree figure Hasbro has done in either scale. And you can definitely see the colors here look very screen accurate. Earlier photos of the figure from New York Toy Fair kind of made it look like he was a white rather than silvery here on the helmet, but it looks like they have gone back and redone that, so it does look better now. And also the visor now being a nice glossy color looks pretty good. I'm trying to remember if it was a little bit darker of a green in the film, but it looks good either way. It really does look nice. I like how they did like the matte green with the glossier silver, the more matte silver, and then just different shades of green around the helmet. I think that looks really good. One thing I don't like, and this is not a new issue to this particular mold, is that the neck, it's kind of obstructed because the helmet sculpt down there at the bottom. You can see that it's just kind of bulky looking, and it doesn't really allow for a whole lot of movement, and we'll look at that when we get to articulation. But looking at the rest of the figure, you can see that not only is it very nicely sculpted, as this figure has always been, but you do have the new torso, which allows for the suspenders up here, as well as the back, where you have this little protrusion sticking out from the back and the antenna. You do see that there is a lot of nice paint going on. The paint application is indeed very detailed, very meticulous, and it looks fantastic. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of that carried onto the helmet. I mean, you do have the very nice difference in colors, as I was talking about, but you don't see a whole lot of battle damage or scoring on the helmet, if any. And if you look at photos from Revenge of the Sith, he definitely had more detail going on there on the helmet. Now, there is a little white speck right there. I don't think that's meant to be battle damage. I just think it's a little imperfection. But hey, we can pretend that it's battle damage. But looking at the shoulders here, that looks pretty magnificent. You can see that you have this glossy silver along with this more matte of the green, and it just makes it look more realistic. And the same going on here on the torso. I mean, there's a lot of nice little paint details there that you can see. And I particularly like this coloration down here on the forearms and here at the lower torso and at the thighs, where you have that more camo look to it. We have the brighter green intermingled with the little bits of silver and the little splashes of scoring and battle damage. I think that looks absolutely fabulous. Truly, truly does. Here on the side, you can see that there is it looks like, I don't know, it looks like maybe it could be a holster, or a pouch. It looks like it's a pouch. There's like a little pocket right there. No paint on that. I mean, no detail on that, just white. But it's not too bad. And then here at the bottom, as it was in the film, like the lower legs are just kind of like a charcoal sort of color. The feet are a charcoal sort of color. There's the bottom right there. Overall, it's a gorgeous looking figure. It's absolutely astoundingly beautiful, but it isn't perfect since we do not have the battle damage here at the top of the head. But all in all, I really love the aesthetics of this figure. It's a knockout. All right, so in terms of movement, we do have that ball hinge here at the head, but as I did note earlier, it is kind of obstructed because at the bottom of this helmet sculpt, you have that little protrusion sticking out around it, so it does greatly hinder movement. This would have been a great opportunity for them to have gone back and re-engineered it, but unfortunately, they didn't do that, so we still have to live with that sort of an issue. Here at the shoulders, you do have the same joints as we had before, so you can bend them forward. Outward is kind of difficult because these shoulder pads do obstruct into the upper torso. If you move them forward, you can kind of get them out a little bit more, but it still kind of hinders your overall movement. There are swivels here at both of the biceps. You have double bends at both of the elbows. I'm not a huge fan of them personally, even though maybe in theory you do get more movement. It is still a little bit harder to move them since you do have two joints that you need to get to cooperate with your posing of the figure, unlike the newer figures which have just a ball joint that is very flexible. Here at both of the wrists, we have rotation, we have a bend in and out on the left hand, we have the rotation on the right hand as well, but it goes up and down in this case. Here at the torso, we have a ball hinge and you can move it around, you can pose it up and down, pretty decent movement. The belt is a separately sculpted piece. Here at both of the hips, you can kind of do a little bit of a split, not a huge split, and you can kind of move them forward as well. With these older clone figures, you don't get as much movement as you do on the newer Trooper figures. Here at both of the thighs, you do get a swivel. You get double bends at both of the knees, just like that. They don't go up all the way as they do on newer figures. And you get a bend down here at the ankle as well as the ankle pivot. So overall, it is pretty nicely articulated. Again, this would have been an ample opportunity for Hasbro to go back and redo the neck joint and maybe even the elbows and the legs for more idealized movement, but it is what it is. Like I said, the main thing with Commander Gree here is the aesthetics. Another interesting thing is that the antenna on the back of the figure actually comes out. You can see that there is a little socket right there. It just plugs in just like that, which is pretty interesting. In terms of accessories, we get the long clone rifle, which is the same one we have seen before. This time it's cast in more of a dark gray coloring. We also get the shorter clone blaster and same coloring as we have on the longer rifle. It's a dark gray, but it is the same sculpt we have seen before. And we get the binoculars, which Commander Gree did use in the film. And they look pretty simple. There's not a whole lot going on in terms of fancy paint, but it is painted in green and kind of like an off-white and black, so it looks pretty decent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Commander Gree 6-inch scale action figure, Toys R Us exclusive. Overall, you guys, I think it is a nicely done figure. Now, the big thing here, as I've mentioned a couple times already, is that the aesthetics is the big draw. They really did a remarkable job painting it and giving it this very detailed paint scheme. I really love how they intermingled the shades of green and the metallic silver and all the battle wear and damage to his armor. I think that looks really good. The articulation is good overall. It just seems like this would have been a good opportunity for them to have gone back to the drawing board and re-engineered the figure's joints. That didn't happen in this case, and I didn't really expect them to do that, but it would have been nice had they done that. The accessories are nice. You get the rifle, you get the smaller blaster, and you get the binoculars. So those are nice accessories to include with this figure. Overall, it's quite solid if you're a fan of the 6-inch Clone Troopers, and I definitely think you need to add this one to your collection. It's a solid figure all around, but I do feel that it falls a little bit short for the higher price point, considering that really the only new thing other than the binoculars, of course, is the fancy new paint scheme, which does look remarkable. but because it is a repack of an older figure, even though it has the new torso, it just feels a little bit expensive. But all in all, not bad for an exclusive, and I am very happy to have it in my collection. Alright my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about Clone Commander Gree down in the comments. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for the latest news and updates. And as always, I would like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.